Hello viewers, welcome to Level Up Courses 2. Myself Payal Babuta, and today I am here to give a small lecture on integers. Integers. Now what are integers? As we can see, we can define integers as those numbers which are generally whole numbers. Okay. Now what are whole numbers? If we talk about whole numbers, then we can simply say that the number which are not in fractions and the numbers which are not in decimals are whole integers. Okay, are whole numbers. Okay, so that means an integer can be a number which is, for example, 23, 84, a whole number which doesn't have any other part in it. Like for example, let us discuss about fraction. So in fraction we can see the number is not complete, it is just the part of it. Okay, like for example, if I say 1 by 2, so this is not a complete number. Okay, that means it is not a whole number, it is a part of a number, so this is not called as integer. And in the same way, if I will take a number which is having decimal like 23.4, 82.3, 64.6, any number which is having decimal point in it is not integer. Okay. Now there is another important point which you should know, is that an integer can be both positive and negative. That means if I will say 11, this is also integer, and if I will say minus 11, this is also integer. This is a positive number, okay, and this is a negative number. How we will differentiate between a positive number and a negative number? In negative number, we can always see there will be a negative sign which is a minus sign. Okay, so it doesn't matter, a number can be positive also, a number can be negative also, but it should be a whole number. It should not be a fraction, it should not be a decimal. Then only we can call it as integer. Okay. Now, if the whole numbers are integers, then fractions and decimals are non-integers. If they are not integers, that means they are non-integers. We cannot call it as integers. Okay. So now you might have a question in your mind, 0. So 0 is basically an integer only. Okay, you can call 0 as integer because 0 is not a fraction number, 0 is not a decimal number, so we call integer. So we call 0 as integer. Okay. So it is a neutral number. Why it is a neutral number? Because it does not have a positive or negative sign. Okay, a 0 is never affected by a positive or a negative sign. Okay, that's why we call it as a neutral number. But yes, it will be counted under integers. Okay, now if I want to show integers on number line, how I will show? You have to take equal distance first of all. Okay, take your scale and mark equal distance. Okay. So on the right hand side, it will always be a 0 in the middle, and on the right hand side we will see all the positive numbers. Okay, all the positive numbers coming on the right hand side. Okay, and it will continue increasing towards right. Now look at the left hand side. Left hand side will have negative integers. Okay, and it will continue like this, minus 1, towards the left. Okay, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on. Okay, so this is how we can represent integers on number line, both positive and negative integers. Okay, now we already came to know like what are integers. So let us try identifying few of integers, or maybe integers and non-integers in this. Okay, so if I will say 24, so if I'll say 24, so 24 is a positive number, right? So 24 is a positive number. It is not having fraction, it is not having decimal, so we call it as integers or integer. What about -32? So fine, if it is having minus, we consider negative number also as integer. Yes, so this will also be an integer because it is not having decimal, it is not having fraction, so we will call it as integer. Okay, now look at this. This is a fraction, 33 by 45. So if this is a fraction, we will consider it as non-integers. Okay, in the same way, look at this number. This number is having a decimal point. So if it is having a decimal point, we cannot consider it as an integer. So we will call it as non-integer. Okay, then comes the next one, 0. So 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay, it is a neutral number, but yet we will call it as integer. Next comes -11. So this is a whole number. Maybe it is a negative number, but it is a whole number. It is not a fraction. It is not a decimal number. So that's why it is an integer. Next comes 23. 23 is also integer. Why? Because it is a positive number. Again, this number doesn't have this number doesn't have decimal point or fraction in it, so we will call it as integer. Next comes 76, which is having a negative sign, which is having a minus sign. That means this is a negative number, but this number is not having decimal, or this number is not having fraction in it, so we will consider it as integers. So this was a small introduction of integer. Hope you have understood. Let me know in the comment section if there is any problem. Okay, and I'll come up with more and more videos on integers. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get the notification of my videos. Thank you and have a great day.